Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to review with you the Professional Artist Watercolor Set 24 half pan from Winsor and Newton. I got this set a couple of years ago, but I was probably a little intimidated and never got to use it much. So this is the 24 half pan, to which I added a Naples yellow and a permanent rose just to set the palette to my style a little bit. So let's unwrap them all and swatch them, and then we'll compare with my other watercolor palette to see if it's a good fit for my art or not, or for yours as well. So the first color is Naples yellow, is part of the series 1, and all of these watercolor are rated as excellent light fastness. The second color is lemon yellow, series 4. Then we do have Winsor yellow, series 1. The next color is Aurelian, series 4. Winsor orange, series 1. Winsor red permanent, series 1. Arzelian crimson, series 1. Permanent rose of the series 3. Rose d'or, series 4. Then we have Winsor violet, series 1. French ultramarine, series 2. Then we have Winsor blue, series 1. Prussian blue, same series 1. Then we have a cerulean blue, series 3. Permanent viridian, series 3. Then we have a sap green of the series 1. Olive green, series 1. Then we have yellow ochre, series 1. Raw sienna, series 1 again. Burnt sienna is the next and is part of the series 1 too. Then we have raw sienna, series 1. Burnt umber is the next, series 1. And then indigo, series 1. Piney's gray, series 1. Ivory black, series 1. And finally the useless Chinese white of the series 1. Is useless because I really don't understand the use of a white watercolor in my own palette, and you'll see after this little video I keep a white, but it's generally a gouache paint that allows me to layer over the actual color, so I don't really find useful this watercolor white, but I probably will change it for a gouache. This is my old palette, and as you can see, it's very battered. It's not all Winsor and Newton, but it's made up with Sminke, Winsor and Newton, Lucas, and other brands that I found along the way, and it's very much customized. I'm really excited about this cerulean blue that I'm almost finished, and of course the Naples yellow, as you can see, is at the very end of its life. And the Piney's gray as well, which is a color that I discovered quite recently, but I absolutely love it. So as I mentioned, all these colors are rated with excellent or very good light fastness. I'm kind of disappointed now to see that the vast majority of the color are part of the series 1, which is of course the cheapest series 1. And considering that this watercolor palette goes on the market from 80 to 120 euro, so we are talking about 90 to 130, 140 US dollars. I was probably expecting a little bit more of the series 2, 3 and 4, which are of course the more expensive series, and that is because the pigment in the color is actually more expensive to source or to grind to create the proper color. So I'm kind of disappointed, but the color looks quite beautiful nevertheless, and they seem to be all behaving quite well. As you can see here, I'm swatching slowly the colors of the new palette, and they are really beautiful, they are really vibrant. And apart from a couple of colors like the Viridian, they do reactivate extremely well. I didn't wet them before, so it's just on the go with water, and I could see how extremely well they wet. I'm really impressed by the vibrancy and by how they are granulating on this paper. That, by the way, is again Winsor and Newton cold press watercolor paper. And yeah, another thing to take into account is the fluidity of the color. As you can see here, adding a little bit of water, they do spread quite easily, but at the same time they are really controllable. I've been working with other watercolor like the Or watercolor, and they seem to spread much faster, and they are quite difficult to control. So I think Winsor and Newton actually got a very good balance between spreadability of the color, if you can say, and controllability of the color. So even if you are not a professional artist and you want to experiment with professional watercolors, I think Winsor and Newton is a good starting point. I do love the brand. As you seen in my other videos, all my paint, oil paint, is basically all Winsor and Newton, so there's nothing much I can say about them, apart from the fact that they are very easy to find here in Europe, and I love the variety of colors and how well they behave and how consistently they behave. So as you can see, this palette here has a lot of yellows and quite a bit of blues as well. I don't know if this suits my style that much, but I really kind of like the different shades that I don't have in my own palette. Like, for example, the Viridian, I find it quite beautiful. The indigo, and of course the shade of Piney's Grey, which tend a little bit to the blue, is really pretty. So I feel like I will use them quite a lot in addition to my old trusty watercolor palette. So I'm going to swatch now my original palette, and you will see what are the differences and how I put together my palette considering my style and the colors that I like the most, so you will have an idea. I feel like I've been talking for about 10 minutes without stopping, but yeah, I wanted just to get you to understand what a watercolor palette is made of, and how you should make your own watercolor palette. For example, I've been talking about my style and my preferences around colors, and the fact that I added an Naples yellow and a rose. That's because I mainly use watercolor to paint nature, and a vast majority of the thing that I paint is portrait, so as well skin tones are very important for me, yellows and browns and ochres. So I would recommend you to build your own watercolor palette rather than just buy a made-up watercolor palette. As you've seen, vast majority of the Winsor and Newton professional watercolors are from series 1 and 2, which are the cheapest series. So if you're a little clever, you could for sure build your own palette and probably spending less money. For example, a series 1 watercolor range between €2 and €5 half pan. So if you do a little bit of math, that is basically the price of the entire 24 set of watercolor, which is great because you can pick and choose whatever you want. So go on a website or go on your local art supply store and try them out. This palette, though, will be a perfect addition to whatever painting set you already own. And if you did enjoy, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.